think about 3 things you tell yourself about being involved as a DJ. You as an MC and the host, producer, record label, executive, etc., website, blog. Right. Like, you've done a lot. If there were 3 things you could tell yourself, your younger self, for me,
that's a tough one.
For me, one thing I would tell myself is pay less attention to how your friends feel, not collaborators, friends, your outside friends. Pay less attention to how your friends feel about your music and focus on the people who actually like your music. Like your people that actually respond to your music versus trying to impress people that are just around all the time. Like, pay closer attention to the people that are engaged in what you do. Push them to the forefront. Push the homies to the back. Because the people that you need to be engaging with and building your fan base and your brand with are the people that are truly enthusiastic about you. That's one thing I would tell myself, is to focus on the people that send you the email and say, hey man, I loved your show last night. Build a relationship with that person that could last 10 years, 15 years. You know what I'm saying? Versus just playing beats for the homies. That's one thing I tell myself. Lon, what you think? You got one? You want me to go around? Because you've done a lot. So
I think I'm just going to say something that I guessed on and I got right.
Okay.
For the most part, even though, you can always do better, right?
Yeah.
With more insight, obviously I could have capitalized, or if that's the right word. But I think it's just building the network of people around you. And the one thing that I did when I moved to Indianapolis was I just went to everything. And this is what I tell a lot of younger artists that want to figure out how to get into it. I just went to everything. And I didn't know anybody when I moved here. I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
And so I just went to everything. And I just had conversations with people. I would just show up, talk a little, keep it moving. When the opportunity presented itself, I would share, what I did, whatnot. But something that I've gotten away from that I think is probably something that I have to continue to remind myself, and something that I wish that I did a lot more of and continue to do, is just always put myself in positions to be active. So me being an introverted person, a really introverted person for that matter, I would always prefer to stay home.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what, that I don't really care who's performing. I'd rather stay home.
Yeah.
And typically I would show up to shows and I'd be like ready to go when I'm there. It's just kind of what it was. It's just who I am. But one thing that I started to realize is that every time that I forced myself to go out and engage, is that I would always gain something meaningful from everything. And I would pay attention to it and it'd be like, okay, cool. I had a conversation with this person that I haven't talked to in a long time. Or I had this conversation here. And once I started putting that stuff together, I was like, man, I should have been doing this the whole time. Like, just forcing myself to go out and to just do things. It's actually not even answering your question though, because that's something that I kind of did. So I'm gonna have to think about this a little bit more.
That's all right.
But that is something
I see where you're going though.
But that is something that people ask me that question specifically, like what to do. And I always say, man, just network, just be active, like go to things and like talk to people.
So would it be fair to say that, I guess your answer could technically be that you would have focused more on that, like just the networking piece?
I would say that this is advice that I would give myself even now.
Even now, okay.
Because even though I know that, I still don't do it as much as I should. Because it's so easy to just get comfortable where you're at, especially when you've been doing something for so long.
I agree.
And I still need to push myself all the time to go out and to be active in the different communities that I'm a part of, and to share stuff and be proactive and be like, hey, do you need tracks? Like, hey, do you want to work? Like, hey, do you want to do some stuff? Like, you have to be active, and I'm not active right now. And it's because I'm doing a million things, but it's something that I should be more proactive with even now.
I'll take that though. That's real. That's a real answer. Jay Diff, DJing, man. I know you got stories and I know you've been through it. So if there was something you could tell yourself getting into the world or in the realm of being a DJ, what would you tell your younger self?
people aren't going to like everything. And you're not necessarily going to like everything that you might have to spend at certain events, because your goal and your mission is to make the people at this particular event enjoy themselves. So unless it's an event that you threw yourself, which is catered to a particular sound, you have to play towards or for those people that are in attendance. I struggled a lot because I want to play certain stuff and people aren't necessarily into what I'm into. And this comes down to demographic we were talking about earlier. If I was in a different city, introducing some of the sounds and styles that I play, it would be totally different. But I have to play for the market that I'm in for the most part. And I mean, there's been plenty of parties and things that we've thrown that people receive well, but there's not enough people receiving it like that. So you just have to kind of, deal with the punches and figure it out. And I mean, do you? By no means am I saying to just fall in place and just play whatever's popular. Do you? But just figure out that angle that's going to make people want to hear it.
That's a bar, because that's one of the things that keeps me, frightens me. Well, not frightens, but has me indifferent about even attempting to DJ. Is because I can't get past not playing what I want to hear, versus learning how to actually control a room. Like I've seen you DJ before, and you know how to I've seen you switch the vibe so that it works. Metronome's great. Castle, like they know how to switch it when it's going south and get it right back popping. Like that is one of the things that will hold me back, because it's like, it's not about what I want to hear. It's about, controlling the room, working the crowd. So I think that's a bar. Like you hit the nail on the head. Tell your younger self that's a bar. So Jay Moore, now your set of circumstances is completely different from what we've talked about. You've done radio.
All right.
Your emceeing game has been high for years now. So you've been out and amongst the culture, whether it's the DJ school, whether it's the clubs, it's hosting this or hosting that. So you've been involved with the culture as well. Can you think of anything that you would, tell your younger self?
No, I've been killing it this whole time. No, I mean, it's crazy. Like just, because of course I've been around DJs and the whole way the music industry has changed, because I got to see so many of these things happen in real time, being in commercial radio. I mean, starting in college radio, of course, and then getting in commercial radio. Then, of course, I've done non-for-profit community radio. I've done it all. One thing I would do, I'd be like, hey, youngin', don't buy all them CDs, because eventually you spending $50 a week on CDs and you're never going to listen to, like, you're going to listen to them and then, like, they're going to get lost or stolen, and it won't matter because now everything is streaming. But as far as I would just tell people or tell myself, to be, don't try to be anybody else than who you are on stage. You have to, because you can always be confident when you're trying to be yourself. When you're trying to get up there and be Johnny Carson or Arsenio Hall or whoever that you think is great and trying to emulate them, well, you're never going to be comfortable on stage trying to be somebody else. I'll get up on stage and I can, because in this, and be able to adjust to where you are. Like, being able to control that crowd, with the DJ, with my voice. But then, I'll be at the 100 Black Men, black tie gala, and I'll be able to use my voice there and still be able to do the same thing, still have my personality, but at the same time make the adjustments, between, being in a sweaty basement bar and being in a black tie event.
Still doing you though.
Still doing me, just like, when we moved the Jay Brookins beat battle, when we were, in these little small spots, and then we eventually made our way to the Vogue and then made our home at the Hi-Fi. I was able to make those adjustments to depend on, being on stage. But the whole thing was, I'm never nervous on stage if I'm myself. And so like I would tell anyone whether or not you're a singer or a comedian or anyone who holds the mic on stage and has to interact with a crowd, you've got to be, just like, when I can't remember which event and Super Crip came through, I was still able,
That's tough.
you still gonna get Jay Moore. I'm not gonna, it is what it is. And a lot of people who are at that particular event remember that. So, that's the only thing I tell my younger self is like, if you're going to get on stage and do this, be yourself, because when you're trying to be somebody else, you're always gonna feel uncomfortable on stage. And that's for if you're a rapper, if you're a DJ, anything where you're on stage, you gotta be some version of yourself, because if you're up there trying to be somebody else, it will show through, and people don't like that.
That's real.
They can see through that very easily.
That's real.
Indeed.
There's a couple other things. I would say, number one, care about the money earlier.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Tactfully, obviously.
Yes.
But be more focused on figuring out how to like legitimately make money off the things that I'm doing, as opposed to doing everything for the culture.
Yes. Yes. I'm glad you said that.
Because if I calculated all the hours
Talk to him.
that I put into,
You got 10,000
Way
different avenues.
Yeah. Yes. Multiple 10,000.
yeah. So that and also the
Glad he
I'll
said that.
just throw this out there too. Just and this refers to me a longer time ago, but just being a little bit gatekeeperish around ideas and stuff that I knew about. Like and I haven't been this way in a long time, but early on it was like, if I knew about something, it would just be like, you have to know this too. Why don't you already know this? Rather than trying to encourage somebody to be like, hey, check something out that you may not like. It's just, like rather than encourage them to check it out, you don't put them down because they don't know it, because they probably want to know about it. So just don't be an asshole.
Well, I'll take that.
There you have it.
No, I'm glad you said that, man. That's big. I think matter of fact, that's huge. The one about the money, monetizing and thinking that way early.
Yeah, at least thinking it.
Just thinking that way is early. And I think also, I would also say that it's okay for your circle to get smaller as you progress. And the reason I say it is because I've learned that you just outgrow certain people in certain stages. Like everybody,
you can't bring everyone.
Yeah, everybody can't come with you.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be like, okay, I know what this friend is for. This is just my friend, and we cool. That don't mean you're gonna come with me when I come over to Lone's crib and we working on something. You're not that person. Like you have to learn how to qualify the people around you.
Right.
That would be, something I would pay attention to too, because everybody don't need to come to wherever you come along with what you're doing. Everybody has a certain role, and some people just don't need to be a part of it. We've been friends for years because we have a lot of, we see things similarly in terms of music and stuff like that. So we've been collaborating for years, and everybody's not like that. But this my man. We've been working forever. So just learn those people, learn the people around you, and just be careful with your crew is what I would say.
Invest in yourself.
Invest in yourself.
Yeah.
That's a good one, Terry. That's a good one.
Definitely invest in yourself, because worrying about what other people are doing and it's not going to get you anywhere. Like you have to worry about your path and what you plan on doing.
The money comes back.
Yeah.
Like if it's something you want to do, the money will always come back.
Mhm.
Because either you're going to learn from it or you're going to invest differently next time, but you're still going to be spending it. You're still going to be doing it. So do it sooner than later.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think that's a good place for us to end, man. Great job, fellas. Those are jewels, and hopefully whoever watches this will pick up one jewel from one of us and maybe apply that. So
If you've enjoyed this segment from the New Old Heads podcast, make sure to join our live chat every Tuesday from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern at youtube.com/New Old Heads Network. Make sure to subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. We also invite you to join our private Discord community at newoldheads.com/community.